There's been a lot of talk about the concept of payments hubs, and it's a concept that the market's clearly embraced. What's it taken to get to this point?
I think it's a number of events that have formed an inflection point within the industry. Payment systems generally within banks are now reaching the 10 and 15 year life cycle. So there's a general movement within the banking industry to modernise, and banks are looking for various ways in which to do that without doing wholesale legacy replacement. A program that will allow them to modernise progressively without doing everything at one time. So the concept of a bank payment hub has been grasped by banks as a way in which to do that in a progressive way, mitigating risk at the same time without wholesale replacement.
So why do banks choose to go down this route?
Well, with all the legacy systems that are in place, it's quite difficult for banks to get budgets up to actually replace them in a wholesale way. The budget cost, the risk in terms of doing it in a big bank. So the payment hub is allowing banks to do that in a progressive manner without the wholesale risk that's associated with replacing all their legacy systems at one time.
What happens within the bank when they choose to go from the spaghetti structure of legacy systems to a unified payments hub?
Well, one of the big issues around that banks have to deal with is the cultural change that's associated with that. Prior to the bank payment hub, with having independent silos, there are a whole bunch of people that had their own budgets and managed their own fiefdoms inside the bank. So what payment hubs do is actually force people together. It forces cooperation amongst groups that have actually never had to cooperate before. And once you get cooperation, you then get a sharing of services, you get a sharing of ideas, and you get a sharing of business objectives. So that's one of the cultural things that's not quite understood when people move to a bank payment hub. It's not just solving an IT problem and solving a business problem, there's also a cultural impact inside the bank.
What does a next generation payments hub that supports this cultural change actually look like? Well,
to date, most payment hubs have been focusing on a particular type of payment, either in the wholesale space or in the retail space. Most definitely, the industry is moving towards the notion that a payment is a payment. And so rather than treating card transactions as a special type of payment, which people often do, and having its own dedicated infrastructure around that, card payments are now starting to be treated as just another payment. So the next generation of payment hubs will actually combine all payment types across all channels, including card payments, which presents the banks with some challenges around the fact that card payments have a very low latency, high speed response time, whereas corporate payments typically are overnight and they will get done in a reasonable amount of time, but not immediately. So it's bringing those things together into a platform that will allow the banks to consolidate and harmonise their payment systems across all those payment channels. That's where we believe the next generation is going.